Well, it just keeps getting messier, guys. This is a 2023 update on the EA Sports potential College Football 24 game that is expected to come out next year before the start of the season. EA Sports being sued for NIL deals that they were offering athletes to participate in the college football video game. Now, there are a lot of people that have come out and said, we don't care if the athletes are in the game or not. Back, 2012, 2013, you played with QB number 9. There were no players. You could add them and edit the rosters. But this is very important for EA Sports because of their current business model. If you look at what Madden does, they really need all of the players to be in the game. I think there's a very simple fix to this entire thing. Seems like EA Sports, they had offered all players $500 name, image, likeness. You're going to be in the game. You get $500 compensation for it. That was a flat offer to all the players. And then you talk to some NIL people, they probably got in the ear of a Caleb Williams, of a Marvin Harrison Jr., and they said, look, you're being compensated the exact same that some third string tight end is being compensated. That doesn't make any sense. This reminds me of the whole idea of like Florida State and the ACC possibly going to a different conference because they're making the exact same that Boston College is making when they're bringing more revenue in for the conference. It's the same model and idea. It's very important for EA Sports to have all the superstars in the game because they want people to spend money on the game, and the only way you can kind of have that model to where they're opening packs of players is to have all the big-time players available. So it seems like EA Sports, to combat this, there was an original thought that some of the players were going to boycott, or all of the players were going to boycott. Let me just make it very, very clear. I'm sure 95% of college football players are extremely fine with getting paid $500 and having their name in a college football video game. It's just the 5% that think they're worth more, and they probably are, but it's just the 5% that think they're worth more that have muddled the waters here. And it looks like EA was kind of going behind the back of this NIL group to offer players a little bit more money up front to get their, co-sign to be in the game and to use them. So that is the current situation. I would imagine this is all going to get worked out. I know people say, oh, they're suing them. It's a big issue. But to me, this just shows that EA Sports is really, really obsessed with having all the players in the game, and they're offering these kids deals, maybe giving a little bit more money to the bigger time marquee players while everyone else gets a flat rate of $500. This is what it is. We knew stuff like this was going to happen. Players want to market themselves with NIL. They think they're worth more money. They get told by agents they're worth more money. I think this is all going to get worked out, and the game will get released in 2024, but you do have to have some caution considering the game already got delayed a year. They're trying to bring this thing back right in the middle of this NIL period where, the rules are just thrown out the window. Players are getting offered money to go to schools. It's a complete mess right now with college football. And it's kind of spewing over to the development of this video game. If this video game came out in 2020 or 2019, it's a completely different scenario. But because there was no NIL back then, they probably wouldn't have even been able to use players' name, image, likeness. At least now they might be able to. But I do expect this game to come out in 2024 around July, even with this recent development of the lawsuit and the potential boycott. Again, it looked like EA Sports was trying to get around that boycott, which was really only like the top 5% of players, by offering players deals, and the NIL group that represents all the players didn't like that, and they're suing based off of that. So that is how I currently read the situation. If worse comes to worse, let's say that some of these players, they don't want to take anything. EA Sports says you're not worth us paying you $2,000 or $3,000. you could see something, I would imagine, unless there is a straight boycott of every single player, you could see certain players not be allowed to be included into the game to where you would have to download rosters to get the players or edit the player in your dynasty mode. That could be something that happens as well. The other super intriguing thing, what are they going to do with recruiting? Because recruiting is such a big thing in college football now, and with NIL, it's a complete mess, but are they actually going to include real-life recruits? I would imagine because the kids are so young, probably not. It's probably going to be AI guys, but it's probably going to be, random AI players, but I'm sure there will be, kind of similar to like Madden 24 when you download the future draft class, there's probably going to be recruiting classes that you could download and insert them into your game. I wonder if it gets that far, but that's just my speculation. Overall, the hope is that this gets worked out in the coming months because the release is not coming. Pretty much over a year from now is when the release is coming. So they have time to work this out with these players. Worst case scenario would be a flat out boycott of all the players. That is what it is. That would suck. Let's be honest. We don't want to play with someone named QB9, but I guess if you can download rosters, it's not that big of a deal. But EA Sports, because of their business model, is really going to do what they can to make sure all of these kids are in the game. It's going to sell better. I mean, it's still going to sell amazingly well, I'm sure, because it hasn't been around for 10 years, but it's going to sell even better if everyone is in the game. It just makes it a lot smoother to use, especially for casual people. And then I am going to react to some of these games that have been released. So I just saw this a few days ago, didn't even realize it. Looks like college football game times have come out. And we're just going to take a look at like the first 4 or 5 games and see. Also, you have some spreads. So this is hilarious. Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State starts the season Big Ten play 3:30 on CBS. You guys remember the SEC on CBS at 3:30? That's where Ohio State is playing. What a strange game that's going to be. Youngstown State at noon on BTN. Western Kentucky at 4 o'clock on Fox. And then Ohio State has that big road game at Notre Dame. Right now listed -9. That's going to be on NBC. So Ohio State goes from CBS to Big Ten Network to Fox to NBC. Welcome to the new Big Ten. Notre Dame. So Notre Dame starts week 0. Is that week 0? Yeah, that is week 0. Notre Dame starts in Dublin, Ireland against Navy. They're listed -20. They've got Sam Hartman. Tennessee State at home, 3:30 on NBC. Oh, that's a primetime game. They get NC State in week 3. That could be a tough game for Notre Dame. That'll be interesting. If they lose that game, that's really going to take the sting out of the Ohio State-Notre Dame game. They've got Central Michigan at home on Peacock. That's brutal. 2:30. And then Ohio State there. Michigan schedule, so they get East Carolina. Yeah, Michigan, their first game is on streaming only on Peacock. 36.5-point favorites. UNLV at home on CBS. 3:30 game on CBS. Wow. Bowling Green at home, primetime game, 7:30. And then Rutgers at home in a noon game. Penn State schedule. How about Penn State opening the season 19.5-point favorites, NBC Saturday night game. That's a great scenario for Penn State. Delaware at noon on Peacock. They're at Illinois. That's a big noon game on Fox. And then they have Iowa at home. That's going to be their whiteout game. They are listed 10.5-point favorites there. Michigan State starts at home against Central Michigan. That's the Friday game. Every year they do it. It's a tradition for Michigan State on FS1. They get Richmond at home on Big Ten Network at 3:30. And then what are we doing with this? Come on, folks. Washington at home on Peacock. That's a big-time non-conference game. Washington's going to be a top 15 team. Why is it only on Peacock? And then they get Maryland at home, 3:30. Alabama starts versus Middle Tennessee State. They're listed -37.5. SEC Network exclusive. Primetime game. They get Texas at home. Bama only -7. That's a 7 o'clock game on ESPN. Wow. So ESPN got some nice rights to that one. I'm surprised that's not on ABC. And then they're at South Florida in a random game at Raymond James Stadium at 3:30 on ABC. And then they get Ole Miss at home. That game probably going to be at 7 o'clock on ESPN if I had to guess. Next, Tennessee. They get Virginia. in a non-conference game, 28-point favorites. Tennessee starts at noon on ABC. Austin Peay, that'll be a blowout, probably a noon game, or maybe 3:30. And then they're at Florida, 7 o'clock game. That'll be a big game for Florida. And then UTSA is not a bad team. They get UTSA at home. Georgia, they start versus UT Martin, 6 o'clock. What a weird time that is. Ball State at home at noon. They get South Carolina at home. And then they get South Carolina 3:30 game, and then UAB. That's the thing with Georgia. They had the home and home with Oklahoma scheduled, but because Oklahoma is joining the SEC, it gets canceled. They have a terrible non-conference now. Next, we have Florida, so they begin at Utah. That is a huge game for the Pac-12. Utah needs to win that game for the Pac-12. Utah listed 9-point favorites. That's an 8 o'clock start, 5 o'clock Utah time. McNeese at home, 7:30 on ESPNU. Florida playing on ESPNU. Tennessee at home. And then Charlotte at home. That's on SEC Network. That'll be a 7 o'clock primetime game. LSU's schedule is really interesting. So they've got the huge game with FSU. They're listed -3. That'll probably be a top 10 matchup. They get Grambling at home at 7:30. They go to Mississippi State at noon. And then look, they get a random game in mid-October, actually late October. Army. That'll probably be a noon game. Next, Auburn. I don't even know why I'm doing Auburn. They get UMass at home. They're 40-point favorites. UMass, one of the worst teams every year. At California. Oh, that's brutal. A 10:30 game on ESPN for Auburn on the road. I'm guessing that's a home and home. They get Samford at home at 7:30. And there's some other in-conference games. Vanderbilt faces Hawaii at home. That is great. I don't even know why I screenshotted some of these teams. But, here's one. Oklahoma. They face Arkansas State, listed 33-point favorites. SMU at Tulsa at Cincinnati. That's a huge game for Cincinnati early in the season. Taking a look at Cincinnati's schedule, Eastern Kentucky at Pittsburgh. They need to win that game. Versus Miami of Ohio, and then versus Oklahoma, with them joining the conference. But I just wanted to go over some schedules. Either way, guys, I do think that the EA Sports NCAA 24 will be released next year, even after the year delay and all of these issues. They should get worked out. In my opinion, EA Sports doing this, kind of going behind NIL groups' backs to try and get these deals to secure the name, image, likeness for the big-time players. It signals to me they're serious about getting these kids in the game, and that when this game gets released, they will all be in it. That is my opinion on that situation. So, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.